You're listening to the DevSoc Dispatches, a community-led conversation where each episode takes you on a trip of our thought of the day. Each episode taps into the world of mental health and physical movement, which we then discuss to see how we can thread them into our everyday. Concise, actionable, down-to-earth topics that provoke both thought and meaning without the drama. Stay wavy.
Hello and welcome to the DevSoc Dispatches podcast. My name is Sam, otherwise known as the Head of Humbling, and today I'm joined by my very good friend and our new Head of Self, Jon Hazan. How are you, Jon?
Hi, Sam. Very well. Delighted to be here.
Good, perfect. So the topic of conversation for today's podcast is self-awareness. So let's jump right in. What is self-awareness?
What is self-awareness? So self-awareness, let's start with a definition. It's an awareness of one's own feelings and character. It's commonly seen as part of the emotional intelligence family. There's an awful lot of that in today's kind of parlance when we look at relationships with ourselves and with others. So EI or EQ, emotional quotient, it's often referred to. This all forms part of that family. For us, when we look at self-awareness, we'll certainly look at it from the angle of an understanding of values, an understanding of motivations, of your strengths and your priorities. Really, what does that actually mean? That means that we're taking you on an exercise and helping our clients to really ask themselves, what's important to me? What matters to me? What am I driven by? Asking yourself a load of questions that some people might do consciously, some people might do subconsciously, some people might not do it at all. Too often than not, you're swept up in life, dealing with a million things at once, and you don't take the chance to stop and ask yourself these critical questions, which then allows that springboard to personal development. And we'll undoubtedly come on to this in a moment. So there's the starting point. Self-awareness, really, it's about understanding your own values, motivations, priorities, from which you can then go and develop further.
That's an excellent answer. Very good.
Almost like I'd thought about it.
Almost like it was planned. Almost. No, that's perfect. And it's very interesting when you say self-awareness allows you to sort of think about what you enjoy, what brings you energy, and what's meaningful to you, which is definitely something that we always speak about here at DevSoc, is work towards things that are meaningful, that do bring you energy. So hopefully we can help people find out what those things are in the future, which probably leads me nicely on to my next question. And you semi-answered this in your first answer there. Why is self-awareness important? Why is it important for one to be self-aware?
It's a great question, and I think the amazing realization. I'm 47 years old. I've been through loads of different kind of iterations and pathways in my life. I've been a soldier. I've been a businessman. I'm now own business. Loads of different things, but when have I actually stopped to think, who am I now and what's important to me now? And now I realize that I may have done that consciously or unconsciously, but if I had done it in a more conscious fashion, maybe some of the decisions I'd taken, some of the reactions to the situations, even the environments I found myself in, I would have behaved differently. I would have taken more from them. I would have related with others more powerfully. I could have been a better leader. I could have been a better husband. All these different things that I think of now, if only I had been more self-aware and been more conscious. And this is the entire thing of becoming conscious, not just of self, but of your relationship with others. Imagine how more powerful I could have been. And I love, let's choose an example, the DevSoc physical development. Imagine how much more powerful your physical development program could be if you had a clear understanding not only of your goals, but also what motivates you, what do you react better to, what are you holding important, how much, what is important. If let's be honest with ourselves, if I have 1,000 children that I have to feed, if I am CEO of a major international business, then I have to be realistic about my priorities. But if being physically fit is absolutely up there as a major priority, then I will make time to do it. And then that becomes you become clear on your pathway to achieving that. So it's important because it gives clarity. It's important because it allows you to wring the most out of every single situation. If you embark on a journey of personal development, it allows you to do it in a more conscious, focused, clear way, which I think when you look at all these books and videos and apps, and there's so much advice out there, but actually, when do we stop and ask ourselves, that's great, but what worked for them might not work for me. So if I start by understanding what does work for me, then I'll ignore half the books that are out there, or I'll cherry pick the bits that work for me, and hopefully I will be more successful in attaining my goals.
That's very interesting. There's two things that I picked up on there, really. One of them, and it's something we say here at DevSoc all the time again, is being present in the moment. And if you are self-aware, as you just said, you can be present in the moment, whether that be humbling yourself through fizz, which is ideal, or in your relationships, in your career, with your children, etc., which is very interesting. And secondly, this is sort of a cut-off question, or something that popped into my mind just then. Do you think it's important to evaluate and reevaluate your, I say self-awareness, or check in with what's important to you in the here and now at regular intervals throughout your life? Because I assume if you did a sort of self-awareness test, or maybe a strengths profile check or test, which is definitely something we're going to discuss in the next few episodes, when you were an officer in the army, or when you were a businessman, or now when you're doing your coaching stuff, I'd imagine what was important to you and what your strengths and what brought you energy and what was meaningful for you has changed throughout those years and throughout those iterations of your life.
That's an outstanding observation. Absolutely. I think not only is it about what works for you, but it's what works for you now. And I love that. I think it's really important that we realize that who we are now is not who we were, or indeed who we might be. If we accept there is flexibility and change, that the person we are at 24, let's say, is not going to be guided by the same values, motivations, and priorities as you are at 44 or 64, then that suddenly allows you that freedom, that flexibility. So certainly the pack that we've designed is a pack that you can undertake continuously. And talk about value for money. This is a lifetime product. This is wonderful. This is something I would actively encourage people to do. Is do it now. Do it again in 6 months. Review. There's a classic evolutionary scale on this thing that says it starts with awareness. From awareness comes recognition. From recognition must come practice. With continued practice comes change. But then the most important part is review. You then come back, you have a look, and you ask yourself, what's changed? What's changed for me? What's changed for my family? What's changed in my environment? And go again. So yeah, great observation. There's no such thing in my belief as a one fit for life.
Perfect. So as usual, we always try and make these DevSoc Dispatches podcasts clear, concise, and most importantly, actionable. So my final question for you today is, how does someone start? So how does someone become self-aware or start working towards becoming self-aware?
Sure. It's, again, great question. And I saw a note from Alex. He sent out a message saying about small steps, not trying to make gargantuan leaps in change. And I would very much echo those wise words. Start by setting yourself realistic goals. What we've put together in our self-awareness pack are some exercises or tools, you might call them, that focus on those various elements: values, motivations, priorities. And as you mentioned earlier, we'll talk in in a later episode about strengths. So for the time being, there are 3 exercises there that follow an introductory piece all about self-awareness. So everything we're discussing today is part of this pack as well, to help lay the groundwork, if you will. Undertaking these simple exercises, they're designed to be easy and straightforward, allows you then to focus on those little areas one by one. So you might just want to undertake a values exercise, put that down, think about that, reflect on it, make some observations, and then a week later go back and do a motivations exercise, rinse and repeat, do your priorities exercise. So you undertake your exercises. And then for me, like I said a moment ago, in that evolutionary scale, if you will, the most important thing is to reflect. So to take time to look at those observations, think about those observations, and then, as is the DevSoc way, and I'm all about that, I'm very action oriented as a coach, put it into practice. You must practice it and work out again what works for you. What works for you? Do little bits of change, and hopefully with repeated practice will come that embodied change, which allows that positive movement forward and self-confidence and all the other really great side effects of becoming truly self-aware and self-conscious.
Perfect. Well, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
Pleasure, Sam. Thank you so much. Wonderful session. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you're interested in finding out more about DevSoc's executive coaching pillar, head over to www.devsoc.shop/coaching and take a look. That's www.devsoc.shop/coaching. Stay wavy.